What's going on, everybody? So the other day during a live stream, we were talking about kind of more specialized tools that you would use to work on guitar stuff. There's a difference between adapting tools to work on guitars, and then there's some stuff that's like actually made to work on guitars. You know what I mean? And so I thought what we would do is, sorry, I'm still trying to get over this cold. I've got some of the tools here. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the new part of our shop here. We'll do a full unveiling of it at some later time, but anyway, here you go. So what I thought I would do is grab a guitar and show you a couple of things that you can use here to do some more, I don't want to say specialized stuff, but you know, a lot of folks spend a lot of time trying to get a tool to work when, if you just bought the right tool, it would make the experience better. So let's look at some of these and I'll show you what I mean. All right, first let's start with the thing that inspired the entire thing in the first place, and that is jack tightener. This dude right here is pretty cool. It is got a little rubber nipple on it, and there's a hex in here. And so what you do is you put this in here like so, you shove this into the jack, and then this, in fact, it looks like this one needs to be tightened actually. You push this down on here, it holds the inside, and now you can tighten up that output jack. Wow, that was actually really loose. That's really cool. So right on, that actually needed to be done. Super cool. The other thing you can do when you're working on like a hollow body or something is you can just solder, take a plug and just solder a guitar string to it or a piece of wire and put it through the hole on a hollow body and then pull it back out and then slide the nut over the top and tighten it up. And then you get it finger tight with that, and you need to get it more tight and you use this. This thing works awesome. Kind of along those same lines, this little tool right here is a couple things. One, you can use it on a knob to take the knob off. So you just put it under here and you can pry up and pop the knob off. The other thing is that it has teeth on it on this side, and on this side you'll see that it's on the same side, but it's not. So like for basically, here, let's take this knob off and I'll show you. So we were able to get that off without damaging it. You can be real careful, and so you don't have to tilt the knob too hard to the side. Especially with Gibson style little bell knobs, they can be kind of fragile, so you can have that problem of accidentally breaking them. So the other thing you can use this for, and you don't have to take the knob off to do this, you can just stick it underneath, but I'm showing you so you can see, is these teeth can now be used to grab the side of the nut and tighten your pot, because maybe this pot got loose. And then also if you flip it around, you'll see the teeth are on the other side, so now you can loosen a pot. So it's kind of one-way teeth there, but it works awesome. So when the knob is on here, you can put this through and you can tighten up, and you don't even have to take the knob off. Another cool tool I love to have around is this is a Shatton polarity checker. If we put this over the pickup, you'll see that, so there's a little magnet in here, and it's got negative and positive, or north and south polarity on it. So there's white on one side and there's black on the other. So if we put it here, we'll see that this is a north up magnet, this is a south up magnet, and that's a north up magnet. And so that makes it to where you can more easily mess around with polarity of your pickups and make sure that stuff's not out of phase and change your wiring around accordingly. If you're not a person who has a setup where you can change your magnetic polarity of your pickups, you can at least change the electrical phasing and still use it. You know, use pickups in various combinations in your guitar. This is another tool that doesn't apply to this guitar. I don't have a Floyd Rose or double action tremolo guitar in right now. But this is for adjusting the intonation on a double action tremolo guitar. Basically what you do on a double action tremolo guitar is you put it in between here and you use it to push the saddle back and forth. It's like a third hand for doing that job on a double action tremolo. It doesn't work on a Strat style. I'm just holding it there to give you a representation of sort of how you would use it. But you know, you would loosen the little nut, the little screw that holds the saddle where it's supposed to be, and then you would put this in there and you'd use this to push the saddle back and forth to set the intonation on a Floyd. Super helpful. It's almost impossible to do that job without one of these. This is something you probably already have. There's a capo for playing guitar, but there's also a capo for working on a guitar. And you could just use whatever capo you have. You can use a rubber band, you could use a piece of string, doesn't matter. But having a capo for a third hand, you throw it on the neck and it makes it to where the strings don't move around on you if you're stringing up a Bigsby. If you are maybe loosening the neck to adjust the truss rod, you can put this on your first fret and it'll make it to where the strings don't flop around on you. This is another kind of more specialized tool. This is it's called a nut height gauge, but basically the way it works is you set this on the fretboard like so. You face this towards yourself, you reset it, you press it down, and it gives you the height of the string off of the fret. You can use it for in standard or metric, depending on where you live, and you can use it for string height at the nut, and you can use it for string height at the 12th or 17th fret, wherever you wherever you like to measure your string height. It's really cool because let's just face it, some of us can't see like we used to be able to see, and feeler gauges are cool, but you end up putting pressure on places, and if you really want to be exact and repeatable, there's nothing like a digital gauge to do that. I know that there will be people that get in the comments and say that they can do just as good, but I guarantee you can't. I guarantee you that the thousandths of an inch, if you want to get it really, really right, this is the way to do it. When it comes to actual guitar maintenance, you could go get any kind of tool set you want. You could go to Harbor Freight, you could go to wherever, whatever, doesn't matter. But this tool set has some very cool specific things to it that I really like. First of all, it has all the sizes that you need for your various screws, which is really cool. It also has these little thread cleaners here and little kind of drill bits. So if you need to clean out a thread, correct a thread, add a hole, that sort of thing. And it has the ones for like your pickguard screws, for your tuner holes. And then there is a little in here, I can get this out. There's a little center punch hole. So if you needed to punch a hole in the center so that you can mark it for a pickguard, you can put that in this thing and be able to center punch, which is pretty cool. And the other thing that I use all the time is this little flathead screw captive deal. So it's a screw, flathead screwdriver that you can put in your tool, but it's got a ring around it. So it works awesome for adjusting screw pulls on pickups, which is what I use it for a lot, but also for any flat screw that you need to use on the guitar. So like if you have humbucker or pickup adjustment screws and you're trying to wrestle the spring and the base plate of the pickup and that kind of thing, this makes it super easy because you're not fighting the screw being a flathead. Super cool. I really, really like this little tool set because it has all that stuff kind of included in it. There's a little cleaning brush here for getting, corrosion off of pickups. It's really cool. It's a cool little set. All right, now let's get into some super specific stuff when it comes to working on guitar stuff. Let's talk about about nut files. A lot of folks will say that you can use welding cleaner tips, or you can use whatever cheap files you want. But I have to tell you, if you buy the right thing, these files are really cool because they're curved on the bottom. This is for a base, but it shows up easier on camera, so that's why I'm using it. Actually, it's a 50, so I suppose you could use it for a low E on some guitars. But anyways, they come in all different gauges. They work really well. Lifetime warranty, obviously. And again, it's either do it right or don't do it at all. StewMac has these kind of handles that are kind of handy because as you're working on your nut, especially with the smaller gauge strings, like it's not that big a deal with a 28 for your D string, but if you're down here on your 10 and your 13, they can be very thin and super flexible. And sometimes I have in the past cracked a file before because I accidentally wasn't watching what I was doing or whatever and kicked it to the side and cracked the file here. Fortunately, it's double-sided, so you can flip it over and use the other side. But if you don't want to do damage to your tool, either be very careful, or you can get one of these handles and it works pretty awesome. I think there's two sizes. There's like one for thinner ones and one for thicker ones. You don't need to get like 6 for all your files. But it's got these set screws in here and you can put the file in there and then tighten it into it. Works pretty awesome. This is the StewMac fret end dressing file. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this too. You can go to Home Depot or you can go to Harbor Freight and you can get a cheap file. What this is for is for putting on your fretboard and dressing the end of your file, the end of your fret. So basically you take the flat edge, you go like this, and you go kind of like that, and it breaks the corner off of that fret. Then you flip it over with the round edge and you go like this and you break it over the top and it takes that burr off the edge. That's what gives you a nice PRS fret end. Now, if you use a Harbor Freight one or a Home Depot one, the chances are the file is not going to be as fine as this and you're not going to get as good of a finish. Also, you're not going to get as close to the fretboard to get that little nubbin off the end right there, because the way the file is ground. You can grind a cheap file, but it will not always be straight. For the $15 that this thing costs, I'm telling you right now, no headaches, it's worth it. It will last you for years and years and years, and if it doesn't, they'll just give you a new one. This thing is fantastic. Also, when it comes to filing, if you're going to do any crowning on your frets, this is a Z file. Typical fret crowning files have like a curve to them, okay? So when you level your frets and then you start crowning your fret, it is possible to continue running until that fret is lower than the rest of the frets, and then you have to start all over. This is in the shape of a Z, so what happens is it only takes one side of the file off, the fret off at the same time, at one time, and then you flip it over and it takes the other side off. So what you do is you would take a Sharpie, with no strings on it obviously, take a Sharpie, you go over the top of the fret, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably something like that. And then you flip it over and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you'll look and you'll see a very thin and very straight black Sharpie line on the top. And that's how you'll know that you'll have a nice crown on your fret. This kind of takes, it's honestly, it's crowning for idiots. This is one of those tools, it's a little expensive, and I know that people are like, well, it's not worth it to me because I'm not that good at it or whatever. This is one of these tools that when you buy it, the less experience you have, the more important it is that you have this tool. Some people buy fancier tools based on their experience because they feel like, you know, I have more experience, therefore I need a fancier tool. I don't have much experience, so therefore I'm not going to buy myself this fancy tool. This is the opposite. This will save you. This will save your butt. So if you're not experienced, get this and it will be amazing. Now, I know, you know, you can go to Harbor Freight like we talked about with a couple of those tools and you can just buy stuff and you can put stuff together. But I really feel like if this is something that's important to you and, you know, you've saved up a bunch of money, to buy whatever guitar you have, and you want it to play well, and you really want to learn how to do this stuff, these tools aren't that expensive. One of the things I'll tell you too is you can watch these videos, right? And you can be like, well, you have X amount of dollars of tools, right? Don't buy them all at once. I didn't buy them all at once. You know, it's easy to watch a guitar tech person or anybody, you know, mechanic, anybody, and you can be like, well, I could never afford all those tools. Me either. You know, one at a time, 15 bucks at a time. Some of them are 100 bucks at a time, but they're lifetime warranty. They're all, you know, lifetime tools. This is not something that you're buying every 2 weeks like toilet paper. You know what I mean? And it just really leads to a better experience. It's one of those things that if you cheap out and you try to cobble something together, then you won't actually get a good experience, and then you will be afraid to try stuff. And I think it's worth the investment. I think the right tools are worth the investment. But a little at a time. So, what's the next setup thing that you want on your guitar? I need to tighten up my pots. Okay, well, maybe that little metal wrench and that little thing that you can adjust the tightness of the output jack, right? Oh, I got a guitar and the frets are sharp on the end. Maybe I'll spend 15 bucks and I'll get that fret file and I'll learn how to do that. And the tool is so good, it's kind of hard to mess it up. It's very easy to just do that job and not mess it up, and it's easy to learn without doing damage to your guitar. So those are the kinds of things that I would encourage you to do. I'll leave a link to as much of the stuff as I can find in the description. They are affiliate links. Obviously, it does help out the channel. But whether you buy them or not, just think about how important tools are. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next video.